G'day, I'm Craney and welcome to One Last Kick. Some would say football clubs are the heart and soul of country towns. Unfortunately, over the years, for a variety of different reasons, some have had to close their doors for good. So we thought we'd make it our mission to go out and find a little bit more about these clubs. The players, the coaches, the premierships they may have won, the grounds they used to play on, and most of all, the characters that made up their club. So join us on a journey as we step back in time to find out a little bit about these clubs that are faded but not forgotten. So let's get cracking. We've got a long way to travel and we've got a couple of great characters waiting for us down in the Great Southern. Coaching up, straight ahead. Time to stretch the legs, and what better place than the little town of Kojonup. Population of around 2,000, situated on the Albany Highway. If you head that way for 260k, you'll end up in the big city of Perth. Over my shoulder here for 150, you'll end up in Albany. Now Kojonup, a very proud footballing town in its own right. Used to be called the Kojonup Magpies and wore the Collingwood strip. Played in the Central Great Southern against the towns of Katanning, Tambalup, quite a few of them. After a while the league there dissolved and the boys went down to play in the Albany League. That worked for a little bit until about 91 when they moved down to the lower southwest. Now the lower southwest had a little bit of a problem down there because Imperials and Manjimup used their Collingwood strip and the Magpies logo. So Kojonup had to rebrand themselves. So they decided on the navy blue and white and become the Kojonup Cougars. Got a bit of a ring to it. Now, there's been a lot of good footballers come out of Kojonup, but two in particular. One was Stephen Michael. Now everyone knows about Stephen Michael. Started his career at the footy ground just over the hill and ended up at South Fremantle and become an absolute legend of the game. The other young man, well, you quite often see him sitting doing the scoreboard for the league after his junior game or doing the boundary umpiring. That's how invested he was in the game. His name was Peter Bell. He went on for the Fremantle Dockers, to North Melbourne, back to the Fremantle Dockers and become a champion in his own right. The one thing these two players had in common was they worked extremely hard at their craft to become the best they possibly could. And that's a great lesson for anyone coming up through the ranks. Hard work will get you there. And of course you need a bit of skill to go with it. But Kojonup's not the one we're covering today. We've still got a bit left in our journey. So let's head on down the highway and see where we end up. Well, we have arrived at our destination, Cranbrook, the gateway to the Stirlings. Population of around 500. Lots to see around the region. You've got the Pink Lakes, you've got the wineries, you've got the Stirling Ranges, of course with Bluff Knoll. But that wasn't our mission. Our mission was to find out a bit about the Cranbrook Football Club. So let's continue our journey, head off into Cranbrook and see if we can catch up with some former club members. Frederick Square in Cranbrook, the home of the Cranbrook Football Club, is where we find ourselves. And we are lucky enough to run into the last captain coach, I think, if I'm right here, in Billy Waldrop. G'day, Bill.
G'day, Alan. Yeah, as and the most unsuccessful. Played all year and didn't win a game.
Let's not bring that up, mate. Now, you've been involved in the Cranbrook Footy Club for a long period of time. What are your earliest memories?
Yeah, my earliest memories are We came here from Victoria in 1957. My dad was a great follower of footy, so 58 was my memories from then on. And then when I left school at the end of 62, I started playing here in 63.
A couple of days ago, Bill.
Yeah.
Out behind us, Frederick Square, there's a bit of a good story how it got named.
There is, yeah. Apparently the first school teacher here in Cranbrook was Miss Frederick, and she apparently said, let's have a sports ground in the middle of the town. So that's what happened, and it was decided to have the sports ground here. There were tennis courts originally, they're back here again. Netball down the corner there, and then they played cricket and hockey on the oval as well.
Should be more people like it, more sporting areas the better, Bill.
Yeah.
Now, your earliest days, you got back here as a very young fella. What were your first coaches like? And I believe you had a little bit of trouble at half time.
Yeah, well, Cranbrook had come last the year before, and they were really battling. So they had which is quite common these days, they had a drive to raise money, and they managed to talk a fellow named Kevin McGill, who was a former East Perth champion rover with Polly Farmer and played state footy, to come down here. And he came down as an insurance agent. They organised a house for him. So he took on the team, and highly professional fellow. So the very first training run, we all met here, and so he said, right, we'll run out to the highway and back, which is 2 miles out and back.
That would have went down well?
Well, I was 16 and just left school, so I was fit, and there was a few others, but some of the other blokes, from here to Albany Highway was strewn with bodies. In fact, they actually took some utes out to pick some of them up, I think. And then, of course, on Friday nights after training, Kevin McGill was a non-drinker, and they'd all go down to the pub afterwards, so he sorted that out too.
Oh, gee, that's a bit of a thorn in the side of country footballers.
It was, and it sort of changed. It changed the way country footy was played, because at half time, I think it cost 2 bob to get in, and that gave you a cup of tea and a scone. Just over here was a weatherboard ladies' luncheon pavilion. So at half time, all the blokes put those old dressing gowns on, and they head over there and
For a cup of tea.
cup of tea and a scone. So they're heading over.
So you didn't
there.
get addressed by the coach, you went and had a cup of tea and a scone?
Yeah, no, they just walked out, you see, and the old change rooms were over here, and I can still see him standing on the step. Where do you blokes think you're going? Oh, we're going for a cup of tea and a scone. And he said, like effing hell you are, get back here, this is serious.
So that changed the actual attitude of the whole club for the better?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, they went from last and the easy beats to playing off in the grand final. I was sort of in and out a bit, but I played, the first time we went to Albany, and we'd never won in Albany for years, we played North Albany down there, and we beat them. And a bloke named Donald Stone, who's a bit of a reprobate, but he's in that photo, he went and played for South Fremantle later. He said to me, Billy, we have made history today, because we've beaten North Albany in Albany.
Did you have a club song?
No.
So you didn't win that many times, so you did.
Well, that
Had to
year
worry about the club song?
Yeah, there were just club songs weren't in those days, I don't think. Yeah.
So you went through, I think you finished up in 70 odd, never a club song. What colours were you wearing?
Started off royal blue with a white sash, and then the next year went to royal blue with CRC. No. Yeah, CFC.
Just testing the memory. It's a couple of days ago.
Right. CFC. And then much later, those jumpers were woolen, and the wives and mothers used to take it in turns to wash them. And the 60s here were quite wet. We had a run of quite 64, 65, quite wet and muddy, particularly Albany. Here it wasn't so much, and so they used to wash them, ready for the next week. And somebody boiled them, and they're all shrunk, I think.
Or have they shrunk, or have we just grown?
Yeah, maybe. So they went to, they changed, and they actually adopted Carlton colours. So navy blue with CFC on the front, and it was easy to get because Carlton was a well-known footy club.
Did you have any moments out on the field like that you thought there was players that were really special come through the club where you go, gee, that boy's got a bit? Yeah, there were. This Donald Stone, who was a ruckman and a bit of a character, yeah, he was a very good player, and he went on to play for South Fremantle as a full forward, I think. You brought along the photo, Bill, from...
That's the 63 team, yeah.
Let's just run through that a little bit. You're in here somewhere?
Yeah, that's me in here, next to Win Morgan, who was a wonderful.
Do you like the haircut there, mate? It's nice.
Win Morgan was a wonderful halfback, and very long kick, great play. I was playing on a wing or half-forward flank, and you could lead out to him and he'd hit you on the chest. He was really good. Kevin McGill, of course, went back and played footy for East Perth. Coached here for 2 years and then went back. This fella, Bobby Jago, had a bit of a tough time in life, but very talented left footer. Jimmy O'Neill, who seemed to play forever, he was in that team there, whenever that was, and then he played on in 63, and he might have even played in 64.
Great numbers back then. Bill, did you have the reserves, Colts and League?
We did, yeah.
Yep. So you had a lot of young players?
We didn't have Colts, we just had, but we had reserves. And in those days, a lot of the blokes, once they got a bit old for the league, they would then play seconds. So, I played some seconds that year, and then in 64, we played off in the grand final in the seconds, which I played in. And these old blokes were just wonderful blokes to play with, to have these old blokes with so much experience.
Can I ask you something? Normally when the old blokes go from the A's to the B's, they're pretty rough when they go down there. Were those boys the same?
A couple of them were, yeah.
Because you start to run out a bit of pace, so you need to catch up with the game a bit.
They were, a couple of them were.
What was the, what have we got here, Bill? You'll have to
Cranbrook Footy Club, Ferris and Best, B grade 1964.
Oh, that is outstanding. 1964, that was a good year that, because that's when I popped into the world.
Right.
So
yeah, I was 17 then. So.
Yeah, no, that is excellent. It's still one of the highlights.
Yeah. I didn't get to the A grade. I won a few trophies, so I didn't win the A grade. I think I came runner-up once or twice. But
what about when you decided to take on the coaching role? How did you go from player to coach? And more importantly, you were a player coach.
Yeah, I had coached the seconds prior to that. In fact, I coached them to a grand final, which we again lost. And then I think when Frank Haynes took on when Western Districts folded up, and he and Alan and a few others and Mark came to play here. Then Frank took on when he came back from the army. He took on as coach for 3 years, I think. And the last year, he said, only won one game, and we went into recess for a year. And then we started up the next year, and I started that year as the captain coach. And tried to get people like Murray Pope. We did try to get some of the old guys to come back, but we didn't have enough for another team, so we were playing in the Central Great Southern Footy League, and we did it tough. We didn't win a game. Cousin Tuck was coaching Kojonup.
I was just about to say Tuck would have been in at Kojonup at those times. The footy in the days, was it a good standard of footy around the place?
Yeah, pretty much so, I think, yeah. Certainly, well, it was a different game. The blokes in this team, there were some wonderful drop kicks there. There's a fella in there named Bob Houston.
Drop kicks mean the way you kick it.
Yeah. There was a fella in there named Bob Houston that played at fullback. He was an immaculate kick, and if you could get a yard on the bloke, he would hit you every time. And that's a skill that's gone from the game.
It's a lost art, isn't it? What about umpiring? Did you have an umpire from the club to do it, or did they have an umpires association?
No, we had umpires from, even in those, when I came home in 63, we had umpires from Perth who umpired the league games. I think local blokes might have done the seconds games, perhaps. I remember a fella named Denny Cowper.
In a good way or a bad way?
No, a good way. He was he was a league. In fact, I think he umpired 2 or 3 waffle grand finals.
That's that right.
But he was he was very fit, obviously, just one umpire. The game wasn't as fast, but he was a great umpire, and he stood no nonsense, and he was quite a big bloke. He no swearing, and if there was a bit of fisticuffs and so on, he just jumped straight into that sort of thing. left a lasting impression. Particularly as when I started, I was a 16-year-old and 5'5.5".
Yeah, that's right. Well, fantastic stories. But you've also brought a couple of your mates along, Bill, to have a bit of a chat with us.
Yeah.
Should we go and have a chat with them?
Yeah, great. Yeah.
with Billy Waldron, of course, the captain coach of the Cranbrook Football Club. And I'll tell you what, Bill, we've got a couple of lads here that look like they could pull on the boots again. Do you want to tell us who we got?
Yeah, Murray Pope, a great stalwart, the Cranbrook Footy Club, asked to play against some of the toughest blokes around. Frank and Mark Haynes, former Western District players, and then came to play with Cranbrook when Western District folded up. Pound for pound, this bloke's the toughest bloke I've ever come across.
Jeez, is that right, Murray?
Yes,
You agree with that?
He was a very tough fella. So, Mark, he goes straight through you.
Yeah. Now, Murray, what are your earliest memories of the Cranbrook Football Club? You're obviously a ruckman, were you?
Yeah. I can remember when Kevin McGill came in '63. I wasn't playing league then, but I was playing second. And after that, got into league, and Dave Williams and I did quite a bit of rucking. But before then, we had Don Stone and Murray Smith, and they were pretty good ruckmen actually.
Yeah.
Those two boys.
I've done a bit of homework before, which is very unlike me, but there was a premiership that Cranbrook ran against Souths. Do you remember much about that? We don't quite what year it was, do you? But there was a couple of really good footballers in there.
There was. Well, Jeff Bickle was playing in it, so I'm not sure, because Cranbrook started up in '25 down south here, and they won the premiership then in that year, but that was too early for Jeff, so I'm not sure. I'll have to do more research as to when that could be.
We've got to be careful doing research, Murray. It's all a shame. What did you have any memorable moments out on the field there, or ones that you probably wish didn't happen?
Plenty of times. Yeah. Well, I know Don Stone was a pretty tough player, and he would stir the other players, opposition players, up, and often had them chasing after him and that sort of thing. And then we had Darryl Howson too, didn't we? He was a bit like that too, but pretty fiery blokes, those two were.
Plenty of advice going around.
He's the one that cleaned Slim up at training, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Clean him up at training. Did Slim love that?
Well, he didn't play again.
Oh, didn't he? Oh, good on you, coach.
Damaged him a lot. Yeah.
Now, boys, they tell me you come from a different league and then joined Cranbrook, is that right?
Yes. I first started off playing for Royals down in Albany when I was at Hoos School there, and then moved up to Western Districts and played a little bit there for a while. There was a few legends amongst the Western Districts players there, and it was quite a heavy contest between Cranbrook and Western Districts back in those days, which would be quite memorable to anyone that got involved, I would imagine. But yeah, there were some legends down there, all the Higgins boys, the Roberts boys.
So you actually joined the enemy, did you?
Sort of.
How was your reception when you first arrived?
I think at the time everyone's battling for numbers, so you love your game, so you rock up, don't you? Yeah. So that was how it sort of sorted out. It wasn't all that bad with Cranbrook fellas. You get to like a few of them after a while as well.
What, after 20 or 30 years? How long has it been?
When they bought you a beer.
Yeah. Did that happen regularly? Not at Cranbrook.
Not at Cranbrook, no.
Brian and Mick Roberts played out there, ex-Subi players. They were the backbone of the Western District, weren't they?
They were the backbone, and three or four Higgins boys.
There was a blondy-haired fella playing in the centre was really good too.
Lindsay Smith was very good.
Yeah, he was.
Terry O'Sullivan, there was a few.
So did you boys rove to the big fella here? Was he rucking when you
No, I don't think I did.
I was just about to ask you what his tap ruck was. Did you? Mm. How was his tap ruck? Did he put it where you wanted it?
Over the back.
Over the back, anybody else got it? Now, four very good footballers here. Who kicked the most goals in their career? Have we got a tally?
Certainly wasn't me, half-back flanker.
I kicked a few in my early days, but as I got older, I got further
down. Well, you were captain coach. Wouldn't you put yourself where you could kick goals?
I did, full forward, yeah.
If you're not winning games, you're not kicking goals, are you?
Now, one very important person we haven't introduced is Jan. Now, you put up with all these fellas, and you would have made a lot of sandwiches, but I believe when you first rocked up, there was a bit of trouble with some scones.
There was, yes. So I was a very new girlfriend, came for my first game of football, and Murray.
Who was the lucky boy?
Murray. I was the lucky girl. And
she's too good to you, Murray.
And Murray's mum sent in scones, and so Murray got out and off he was heading off to the change rooms, getting ready, and I said to him, what happens to these? And he said, oh, you just take them over there, the ladies over there. Well, of course, that was my first trip down from Perth, and I had no idea. So, being so shy, I just thought, oh, I'm sure they'll have enough, they won't miss these ones. And then on our way home to Murray's family farm. I said, I've still got the scones here. Well, we can't take them home to Mum. We'll just bury them here along the fence line.
So you buried them on the fence line?
And I know exactly where they are. Yeah.
To this day?
55 years later or more, I know exactly where they are. Yes.
Were they a well-behaved bunch?
Yeah, they were pretty well. They were all always very respectful and had a lot of fun, and all very welcoming. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, no.
Boys, a serious footy question. Which club had the best scones? You can't say anything, Murray, can you?
We weren't allowed to eat scones, Bill, were we?
The other question would be which had the best showers, because they were both very ordinary. After a cold day, weren't they?
So we're looking at it. We've got the Frederick Square. Where were the old change rooms?
Over there somewhere.
Where the tennis courts were?
Yeah, roughly.
And the old club rooms were out there as well? Did you have a club room somewhere to go and have a beer with?
No.
No, you just...
Pub was a club room.
Yeah, pub.
Because
Yeah.
remember when the new toilets were put up there, and there was only pans, trough and a pan to piddle in, and pan to do other things. But old Paddy Williams, remember, it wasn't not
that's right.
tall enough for him. When he went in to do a pee, he could still watch the football.
Not only that, he was, the other thing he complained about was ladies walking past while he's having a pee, ducked off his hat.
Now you played
Actually, they put an extra, didn't they?
Yeah,
they put a foot of iron round the top because Paddy complained.
For a start, it was too short.
I know that you two gentlemen have got to go. It's a very heavy bowls tournament this afternoon. How's our form looking? Look, and do you still remember the day you finished up your footy career? Can you remember your last game?
Wouldn't have been a win anyway.
Well, you must remember the wins pretty well then. Few and far between.
Playing for
weren't
Cranbrook and Western District.
Did you play in any
Sure
final
was.
series?
It would be hard, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You never made the finals? Not in either league?
I remember you cleaning us up here on Freddie Square, Western District's cleaning us up here one day. That was a pretty tough day for the locals.
Might have been, we might have got cleaned up out there once or twice as well by you guys.
Probably, yeah.
Well, gents, thanks for joining us. A bit of a trip down memory lane. Enjoy your bowls when you head out there. Are you heading bowling too, are you, Murray, or you've got other things to do?
No, I'm not playing today.
Well, you can stick around with us.
Right out.
Out on the hallowed turf of Frederick Square, where 1920, I think, Cranbrook Football Club were running around this very spot. But you did have a little bit of a change there, Bill. You went to another location.
Yeah, we did. Murray and Jan were involved in that as well. And we went into a greater sports ground, a couple of k's out the road. So we had footy, special cricket oval, I think. Two cricket ovals, hockey, polo cross, pony club, netball.
The works.
The works. But
Do you reckon it'd be possible for us to go and have a bit of
we sure
a
can.
gander at the new ground, or the new old ground, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's in a suitable state of decay now, I think. But
Let's go and have a bit of a journey out.
yeah, let's do it.
On the way to the ground, we decided to take a bit of a detour and stop in at the Cranbrook Museum. Now, the museum is housed in the old railway station master's house, and what a treasure trove it turned out to be. So this is it, eh, guys? The oval and the old club rooms.
Yes.
That's right.
A few humps on the oval.
Here.
Yeah, I'll bet there is. Bring back a few memories.
Certainly does.
What's the hill with the aerials on in the background? Is that some special hill?
It's Sookie Hill, it's Sukey, and that has the communications towers, there's television towers there, mobile
How did you get
phones.
Sookie Hill?
They were, I'm going to say they were shepherds.
Oh, were they?
It was a shepherd, yes,
And
yeah.
it has the second best dawn service on the Anzac Day in the state.
It does, yes.
Oh, there you
It's
go.
brilliant, and you get a brilliant view of the Stirling Range from east to west. So it is quite. There's a lookout up there, and what we see on the oval is where the motocross used to be, but now it's been relocated.
Yeah, I had
to
a feeling
site
it
up
might
there.
have changed a little bit
It
since
has
you guys run out of it.
So, yep.
All right,
so,
we'll go and have a look at the club rooms.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell you what, it would have been pretty good in its day, though.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it was
it
a big
was.
step forward for us.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Front-
Crowd of people all the way along the front.
Yeah, that's right.
Seats all along the front.
Righto, guys, fair to say the ovals and the club rooms may need a little bit of repairs before you play on here again. But great to be out here. Now, on the way out, Murray, your nickname's Boomer.
That's right.
Where did that come from?
Well, I think it came from the football days. I think because I wasn't quite tall enough against a lot of the taller ruckmen, so I had to jump very high to counter them.
Plus, they also tell me you were a tearaway fast bowler in the cricket. Did you get Boomer there as well?
Probably. Not so much, but no. Good cricket days we had here too.
Swinging back to you, Bill, what was your nickname as you went through your footy career?
I don't think I had one really. If I did, I didn't know about it.
He jobbed you in.
Yeah.
It was called the General, wasn't it? He reckoned you pointed in all directions.
That came later, yeah.
That came a bit later, I think, yeah.
So we got a bit of an idea of what the setup was like out here. It was a big Cranbrook setup. Jen, I didn't know you, but you were the president?
I was Shire President.
Shire
but
President?
Just more recently, yes.
Yeah,
not,
right.
not at this time, but yeah.
So we got the Shire President on our show is going big guns. You can sort of see where the grandstand used to be. Did we get big crowds or did we get a few crowds to it? The footy?
Would have been quite good crowds actually at the football.
And cars parked all around the oval like they were in the day. Well, and they still
had
are
a,
today.
uh, When did we played Australs in the grand final? Maybe 72?
1970.
So we had a pretty good team that year, and we had quite a big following, didn't we?
We
Yes,
did.
yeah.
It was a big
Was the
crowd.
grand final played at Australs or here?
Up at Australs.
Australs.
Catanic,
Yeah.
yeah.
Para Park.
How'd we go?
We
No,
lost,
no,
unfortunately.
Murray played in it.
Yeah.
So did I. Yeah,
Did you play?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you give him a good run for it or was it all over pretty early?
Well, we lost Kerry Corrigan, our captain coach. He was injured, so unfortunately he was sadly missed. I think was Spriggy.
He might have,
he
but there
might
were
have been
the
injured
two
too,
Collins boys, brothers that played.
Yeah,
for
they had a very good
them. They
side.
were really
Yeah.
good players. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent side.
So when we were at Frederick Square, you all went up the hotel after a game. Did you finish the game in here? Because there is a bit of room. Did you have a beer here or did you go back, or refreshments? Or did you go back to the hotel even when you were out here?
I think we still went back to
Back
the
to the
hotel.
hotel.
Yeah.
Mm.
We used to have a. We might have had the odd casserole night here.
Yeah.
didn't we?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, with
Barbecue
maybe
or
a drink or two.
Too.
Yeah.
Well, Jan was just saying they had a lot of fun in the kitchen here, didn't they, the girls?
Yes, yeah, no.
How many of them scones were cooked in there, Jan?
Well, it was a
No,
big step up. You
It
look now, it
was,
looks pretty
yes,
ordinary, but it was a
yes,
big step
it
up.
was a
from-
big step up,
Yeah,
and
from what we
sadly,
had, yeah.
that's right, and sadly it was only that couple of years and then football finished. But as Bill had said earlier, nippers, junior football went on for quite a long time here.
Long time, yeah.
Another good 10 or 12 years easily, I would think. And so they, on those, junior football days, there would still be a good following here.
Because just looking at it now, it has fallen into a bit of a state of
has,
disrepair, but the base is very good. I mean, you've got, as you said, Bill, down there, the umpires' change rooms. I gather they're your home change rooms or the away change rooms and the home change rooms?
Change room, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
All very handy.
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
But the home change rooms close here?
The home were probably just here, I think, were they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
yes.
think down the end was the
Away.
away team.
So the hot water stopped just there.
Yeah. It was quite sophisticated here. You could actually get a hot shower. Back at Freddie Square, the earlier one was a some sort of diesel hot water service that looked highly dangerous. Barry Williamson was the only bloke that could.
Made a lot of noise, didn't it?
Yeah, used to roar and.
Yeah.
And
There was only one bloke who could actually start it.
yeah,
was
a
there?
bloke named Barry Williamson who was a stalwart of
And
the
if
club.
he wasn't there on the day, he had cold shower.
Yeah, no one else could work it.
No.
And in the shower room was probably a box with about 4 showers, so you all got in together, and there was kaikui growing up the side of the wall.
So this
also
was
telling
a big
me-
step up.
You're also telling me there was a butcher that helped out around the footy club.
Yeah, there was. Long time, Butcher and his wife had the greengrocer, 2 little shops in the main street, and he used to come around.
So he was a butcher and his name
Oh,
was
yeah.
Butcher?
Yeah.
Had a
Very
butcher
cool.
First
shop.
child, yeah.
What was his wife's name who owned the greengrocer?
Violet.
Violet.
But only Mrs.
Mrs.
Childs.
Childs.
You wouldn't have referred to her by her Christian name.
No.
Only Mrs.
Mrs.
Childs.
Childs. They were English by birth. And I remember when my mum used to go and pay a bill, she always gave her a block of chocolate to give to us kids. And Butch used to come around, he never said much, at 3 good a time, we'd all be sitting down, he'd come around with his pocket knife and oranges, and he'd cut them into quarters. So he'd hand out, everyone would get a quarter, and then he'd come back with a bottle of Flavine and a cotton wool.
Good old Flavine.
Freddie Square was pretty, it was good service, but sandy. So you'd skin your knees and he'd dab that Flavine on you and sting. Oh.
Fixed up an ate on.
Yeah.
It really
So you
got
sort of
going
didn't
next
show him
door.
any wounds. You're also saying you had a couple of trainers who've done a bit of cooking while you were playing. Did
Oh,
they cook
yeah.
a bit of a stew?
Oh, a bit
Trainers.
of a- yeah.
Not here,
Not here,
out
out of
at Pains
Rocky
there with
Gully.
Rocky
Like a
Gully.
Rocky Gully.
Rocky Gully, yeah, that was their lunch. I've always remember that, or Bill does too. For lunch they had the old kangaroo tail on a fire, and that's what they had for their lunch.
You got to feed yourself, though, mate.
with a skin on it, yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, like Noongar lunch, you know. They poked it in there. And,
Feed the man meat.
That is
and
excellent.
it was a bit the same. Probably the first, I can't remember how many showers, but probably the first half dozen would get a hot shower. And then after that,
It was pretty basic, wasn't
it was very big.
So when you moved out here to play, which league were you playing in?
it? The
Central
Top
Great.
Central Great
Against
Southern.
Australs and Wanderers and...
Koji. And then we went out to play Kent districts. We went out
Yes.
to Nibing or Pingra.
Nibing.
First, that's right.
Yeah.
First away game, we went out there,
Yeah.
and they put on some beers afterwards. There was no policeman, no closing time. It was a long way back.
some of the best trips.
So was Dumbleyoung included in that competition?
Yes, they were.
Yes, they
Yeah,
were, because I
we played
remember us
Dumbleyoung.
going to
Yeah.
Dumbleyoung.
But I think the last game I played for Cranbrook was against Dumyoung here.
Yep.
And I hadn't played much footy that year, and I trained a Friday night and all felt pretty good. Came Sunday to play, and my calves were that tight, I couldn't run. I was absolutely useless.
So Boomer got struck down.
So he got struck off the list forever.
And Dumbleyoung's number 1 ruckman was David Webster, who's the West Australian rep on the Australian Wool Corporation
yes.
these days.
Yeah.
He's about Murray, he might have been an inch taller than Murray, but you were lining up against big David Webster, I remember.
So coaching up, played against Cranbrook for a bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your cousin coaching up for a while.
Yeah, he did in the latter part.
And
We
that's-
actually, the year we got into the grand final, we played Kojonup in the preliminary final in Tambler and absolutely creamed them. It was a heck of a westerly win, and we won the toss, and I think we kicked 7 or 8 goals
For the first quarter.
first quarter.
How were the smiles after that game?
Yeah.
You see, you didn't have a club song, but I bet it was. I bet there was something ringing out of the change rooms. Now, it's been fantastic, the reminiscing. What about when it was coming to a close? Could you see the end of the club coming? And how far back did you go? Hang on, we're in a bit of strife.
Yeah, we talking with Frank, who was the coach, Frank Haynes, the coach before me. Yeah, I think we actually battled towards the end. He reckoned he won 1 game. And then we went into recess for a year trying to sort things out. So maybe 76 we started up again, and we didn't have a seconds team. We didn't have enough players, so we struggled on for, we had some kids playing, you know, we had some kids come home from school on holidays, they'd all come and play, and we got within 5 goals of Niagara, was probably as close as we got. And then, yeah, I remember the last day, and it may have even been against Cogent up here, and we got absolutely flogged, and we just thought we couldn't go on. Colin Kleeman may have been the president. Anyway, we decided we couldn't.
Was that at the end of the season or midway?
No, we didn't get to the end of the season. We just couldn't. Yeah, we were down to about 14, and there were kids playing that shouldn't have been, perhaps.
The numbers just dropped off.
Yeah, they just dropped off. We had a couple of injuries. It was there were blokes in tears.
It's pretty emotional.
Me included, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people put a lot of heart and soul into country football clubs, or all football clubs, and to see one that you've tried everything to try and make it work.
Yes.
What did you do when you finished that game? There was a few tears?
There was a few, there was a couple of speeches, a few tears, I think. Somebody went down to the pub and got a carton of beer. There was the pub was a great supporter of Cranbrook over a long time, and they used to give a bottle of champagne for the best player. And I've got a feeling it might have been Jock Clapping home on school as about a 15 or 16-year-old. Anyway, he was too young, so they took that off him, popped the cork out, handed that around.
You might have been the best player, mate, but you're not drinking that.
Yeah, all shared it.
Actually, things have changed. I remember when we were in the Great Southern League, there was the Craven A mark of the day.
Yeah, I remember listening to that.
Anyway, I remember as about a 17-year-old getting a ride on somebody and taking the Craven A mark of the day. So I got a packet of Craven A's, which my mum very quickly confiscated.
Yeah, and then we used to have the Acme.
The Acme dry cleaner.
Award.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit like Roadrunner. Acme.
Acme dry
So what
cleaner.
happened?
They're still there, Acme dry cleaners. They're down in Lockyer Avenue.
So you realise the footy club's ready to close its doors. You obviously had a nucleus of very good people around the club, and probably 9 or 10 that really wanted to play. Where did they all go to continue their careers?
Some went to
North Barker.
North Barker. My younger brother went to Cogent. In fact, he went the year before because you could see the writing on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Was that part of it? I mean, players started to see the writing on the wall and go, hang on.
Yeah, when we
we're gonna
came back,
struggle.
we'd lost 2 or 3 that we didn't get back. Yeah, they'd gone to other places. And I think North Barker, was it in those days? So there was a few went there.
Yeah, there was, because I know Malcolm Wenham went
North
there
Barker.
in 75.
Jock Clapping, all those were those
Richie,
younger ones
Spud
that when
Williamson.
they got older,
Yeah,
they were
Richie Clappin, Spud Williams.
What about yourself, Boomer?
No, that was it for me.
You called it?
Yeah.
How old were you then? Not being rude? You had a fairly good career?
35, 31, yeah.
Yeah, so played some very good
I don't
footy.
know. Yeah, well, the injuries catch up with you now and again. I know I had a bad back, which was from shearing. We used to do shearing as well and try and play football. and that really killed us later on too, didn't it? Because a lot of our younger blokes took up shearing.
And Bill Ethel banned them from
That's
playing
right.
footy. Yeah, he didn't want them turning up on
The only thing about
Monday.
shearing, isn't it, if you get injured,
Yeah.
That's
you
right.
don't make any
You
money.
don't make any money.
Well, guys, look, it has been an absolute pleasure catching up with you all and reliving some of the memories of the Cranbrook Football Club. And something you really get out of it is the passion you guys have got for that club. And it still lives on. And what are we talking? We're talking, my maths is no good, Bill, but we're talking quite some time ago that happened, and still the fondness you're talking in it.
Oh yeah, they were great days, and we had some great times. We had a few floggings. We had some good wins too.
Oh, absolutely. Remember the wins.
Yeah.
Well, mission accomplished. What a great day. We've met some wonderful people. We've heard some great stories. Some of them were true, some of them maybe not, but it was still a great day. Seen a fair bit of history of the Cranbrook Football Club. If you would like your club to be featured on this great show, please contact us on the details below. We'd love to join you. We'll see you then.